I know we're live. I'm just taking a deep breath. It's been a while. It's been a
Yeah,
while. I was hungover last week.
right.
I'm just trying to compose myself, make sure I have the energy to get ready for this episode. What's up, guys?
There you go.
What
Have
up,
to dig
man?
deep, don't you?
Got to dig real deep, real deep. How you guys doing?
I'm all right. I'm just
Yeah,
all right.
All
yeah.
right,
You know,
that's fine.
Mid.
given the circumstances.
All
Right.
right, all right. Well, how's the twos and ones and the ones and twos doing?
I'm doing good. Just hanging,
Nice.
being a one
Nice.
and a two,
Or two and a one. Depends on what your ratio is.
or two and a
So,
That's
one.
right.
You know, these
Depends
things.
on what's more prevalent right now. Is it a two coming first, and then like one in the middle, maybe a little bit, and then back to the two? I don't know.
ooh,
I'm gonna be
ooh.
honest. You guys are making me feel like I need to take a bathroom break. So
Well, while you go do your bathroom break, let me give the rundown of this week's episode so everybody can get into the loop. We are talking baseball first. Yes, John Fisher is still in the news, and so is Dave Cavall and the Oakland A's. Gotta talk about him. And then we're going to jump right into the NBA and our sad umbrella of a season has come to a close for us. And then we'll touch base on the good old Stanley Cup, get into some American football because Wrexham is already in their off season, enjoying Vegas and getting ready for the USA tours. And NFL schedules are out, so we get to talk shit to each other about our NFL teams. So,
There we go.
without
Got the
further
hat on,
ado,
ready to roll, man.
absolutely, Vince, get us into the scores of the MLB.
All right, so the Oakland A's, they over the last week, they dropped all three games against the New York Yankees. They lost 7-2, 10-5, and 11-3. Couple of double-digit runs given up in that series. And then
Cheers.
yeah, ugh. And then they come home and play the Texas Rangers and drop 3 out of 4 against them. They lose 4-0. They win 9-7, then drop Saturday, Sunday's games 5-0 and 11-3. Next up will be home versus Arizona, and then at Houston.
So the Arizona game, once they conclude, this is rough for any MLB team. That'll be their 16th game in a row that they play without a break.
And that's like rain delays having to make up or something, because I think it's like in their collective bargaining or something usually.
There's no rain delays. It's just straight
Oh,
16
shit.
game season straight. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like that. Even for a good team, that's rough,
Yeah,
Let
that's
alone a
real.
bad team.
That's tough. Yeah. So the A's are 9 wins, 33 losses. Still haven't hit double digits yet. Still not
They're
there.
getting close. Tonight could be the night.
We're approaching a Mendoza line win percentage. Okay, that's really bad. They're just above it right now. If they go, if they go 0-3 against Arizona, that there's the Mendoza line right there, man. It is bad. It's real bad. It's rough out here. So that being said, let's just look across the bay to the Giants. They went 1-2 at home against Washington. They lost 5-1, get the win 4-1, and then lose 11-6. And then they go to Arizona, these same Arizona Diamondbacks we were just talking about. They drop 3 out of 4 there at Arizona. They win 6-2 and then lose 7-5, 7-2, and 2-1. Next up for them on the docket is Philadelphia and Miami, both coming to San Francisco. They're 17 wins, 23 losses, and fourth in the NL West. And
so before we get into the atrocity that is the Oakland A's or potentially Vegas A's, whatever you want to call it, let me touch base on the Giants here because I know I got some viewers or listeners who want to hear some Giants stuff once in a while, and you should.
We should oblige.
Yeah, I would say your biggest struggles. I mean, outside of your run differentials between the teams you're playing against, they're not horrible. I think what's happening is that they're stranding a lot of batters. Runners on base. But I think what's really killing the Giants more than anything else, I think their starting pitching is decent outside of the back end of the rotation, and Shamanai has been pretty roughed up and have had some pretty bad outings as of lately. But that bullpen is just horrendous. I know they brought in the twin brother to be the relief pitcher, the long relief pitcher, but he's given up runs like crazy. I think if anything, if I'm trying to fix some kind of holes I think I'm trying to maybe bring up some relief pitchers and try and shore that up because I think your starting pitching, though it may not be as strong as it was last year or the year previously when they had that outlier of a season. I think it's still good enough to try and win you some of these games, and I think your offense is still potent enough to try and win you some of these games, especially with the kid who's being touted as the next Derek Jeter, and rightfully so. He's breaking records left and right as their shortstop, so he's pretty good. Then you've got, Mitch Haniger, a loaded outfield, so I think offensively, the Giants could turn
Casey
this
Schmidt
around.
is the kid's name.
Casey Schmidt, yeah. So that
Casey
kid is,
Schmidt.
I mean, what a great call up. What a great shortstop story. Obviously, that's kind of, if you're a Giants fan, you're probably seeing the writing on the wall with Brandon Crawford, and maybe we're going to shift him to second. Casey Schmidt's probably going to take over shortstop in the next coming years. You have the benefit of Lamont Wade, who can balance between different positions as well too. So should be interesting. But I think this Philly thing is a good matchup, especially with your head coach being the former head coach. What can he do against this Phillies team? And I think if relief pitching is as bad as it has been, you're going to see more of the same. You're going to see a fourth or fifth place NL West team. So we'll see.
All right, yeah, the Phillies are 500 club right now. They're 20-20. They're actually second in the NL East because the NL East is not performing up to the standards we thought they would be at the moment. As for the Giants, like I said earlier, they're in fourth already. They're actually they have just a half game lead on the Rockies, so they are right there, right near the cellar. And if they don't figure it out real soon, it might be time to start selling some pieces.
Yeah, so absolutely.
This is the way teams operate now. I mean, we've seen it as, A's fans, current and former. If it's not going right, pretty quickly, you take the L and just start shipping pieces away and hope for next year, man. So we'll see.
Yep.
So let's get into it. Unless you got something that you want to talk about the Giants here, Sam. All right.
So I don't care about no Giants.
He's getting lubed up right now.
Let's pull the Band-Aid off. And
here we go.
Before we, jump into the news that has happened today, let's just kind of do some
I'm not done talking about the A's. I still wanted to talk about the A's.
That's what we're getting into.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the A's.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting us up to speed,
okay,
so everyone can know what the news that broke today.
Lay it out,
with
baby.
the A's.
Sorry to interrupt.
So let's look at the details, okay?
Let's go.
The Oakland A's, the ownership wanted a ballpark that they could own. Okay, that's rule number one. They wanted a ballpark that had outdoor activities that people could spend money within the ballpark around the area. That was two, right? So with those two things in mind, right, they had that with the Howard Terminal deal. Then they go to Vegas and they have that land that they could do the same thing. It may not have been as big as 55, square feet. I mean,
acres.
Thank you.
5 acres. Yeah.
But you still had land that you owned, and you could build things outside of the stadium. You could build out. And they were raving about how it was easy for parking, easy for people to get there. And then they pulled that deal a week later, and they go to the Tropicana site. The Tropicana site is 9 acres. They don't own the land. They can't build anything around it. And I don't know about you, but I'm not a Vegas citizen, but I'm pretty confident local Vegas citizens don't go to the Strip to hang out. So you're not going to get local citizens coming to your ballpark. You're expecting tourists who are on their trip to Vegas to just waltz into your baseball game. That's highly unlikely.
I'm gonna I mostly agree, but I am gonna push back a little bit. Vegas residents do go to the Golden Knights games, and they're on the Strip. I think they'll go.
That's like the tail end of the Strip, though. We're talking about the meat and potatoes.
Well, no. The Tropicana is at the tail end of the Strip too. It's like it's right next to it.
But they do have parking, like the Vegas Knights.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's a whole other thing entirely. But I'm just saying, if there is, like, the Golden Knights are winning, so and they're showing up. So I think they'll show up for a purpose if there's a reason to go.
So before Sam jumps in here, so just so we know, the previous site, they had an agreement that they were going to build a ballpark at this location, and then that got axed to this 9-acre Tropicana site, which today was announced that they have a binding agreement to build a $1.5 billion stadium, still pending legislation approval and also public funding. So, with no renderings, no architect involved, and they have done no reports to say that it's a good place to build a site yet, because I think personally they're trying to do this ass backwards and get public funding first before they invest into these environmental reports that they have to do for Vegas. You're going to have to do one no matter what. They may not be as strict as California. You're still going to have to do one, but it doesn't make any sense that they would go this way, but this is the way I think they're going. So go ahead, Sam.
I was just gonna say the site that they're talking about. There was some rumors on Twitter coming out that there's renderings, because we haven't seen those before. We haven't seen renderings produced by the A's overnight. There's just the whole idea of this Tropicana site is stupid. It's 9 acres. You're not going to be able to build around like you were claiming for all of these years. All of these years, you were making the claim that you needed all this land to build a year-round thing, and then all of a sudden, that doesn't matter. So then, like, what's the problem with Howard Terminal then? Why were we arguing about this massive site, and you needed all this stuff around it? So what's the argument? Because now you're abandoning a deal that was ready to move forward. There was funding in place. There was a $88 million difference due to COVID and inflation and these things. We know that. But just bringing it back to the Tropicana site is just stupid. They said it was going to be like an MLB store. It's literally the Gap of MLB. It's literally, hey, we're the A's. Let's hawk everybody else's shit. Who cares if people buy ours? Because we're going to make a percentage on everybody's stuff that we're peddling here. It was just a stupid idea. It's a stupid idea to build it there. I do think a baseball team would be successful in Las Vegas if it was something like the Golden Knights.
It needs to be an expansion.
Exactly. I don't think the Raiders are different. And I think some of it has to do with that Raider image. And I think some of it has to do that it's the NFL. People travel. It's easier to travel on the weekend for a big event. You're going to spend the weekend in the casinos. You're going to set up your bets. You're going to, if you got friends and family who may not be interested in a football game, they're going to, go do things around the strip. It makes sense. I don't think that example works well with baseball. I think certain series on weekends, depending on what's on the line, you might get the numbers, but a 30,000 seat stadium, 81 business days, selling it out every single day like you think it will, I really don't know. I just really don't think it's going to work.
Well, for example, 16 games in a row, I think 12 of them are at home. You really going to sell out 12 games in a row in Vegas? No way. The reason why football works is because it's a one-day event. And even hockey, right? Two-day event, 3, 4,
it's 40 total games, but like, yeah, you get 2 games, 3 games max in a week.
Yeah, exactly. So it's much more accessible to do. It makes more sense. I also want to note too that Bally Corp, right, is going to own the Tropicana site land, right? Not the A's. But Bally Corp is owned by Sinclair and Diamond Sports Corporation. So Diamond Sports is
both fledgling companies, like both companies that are like in terrible position right now.
So Diamond
Worth
Sports,
a lot of money, but in trouble.
Diamond Sports is the betting company, right? Sinclair is a media company, and whatever opinion you want to use, you can come down my road. I don't care. You can look it up yourself. But Sinclair Media uses tactics to make money off of fear and propaganda. They're basically a far right company that uses fear mongering and propaganda to produce and make money. And I don't know about you, but if Sinclair Media is a subsidiary owner of Bally Corp, what are those commercials going to be like when you're watching an A's game? What are the ads going to be like in the ballpark when you're watching an A's game? I mean, it's just another dark cloud over this shitty ownership that doesn't seem to have any sense of control of whatever they're doing and have no thought process of what they're doing at the same time.
Well, with Sinclair, I think the problem that I have with them is, they're buying like local news. They're buying local news stations that are reporting actual news. And to this day, in this crazy climate, I don't want to be a political show. I don't want to talk about politics too much, but people still rely on the local news stations as a reliable source of information. And this company is buying those locations and shutting them down. So people are losing their jobs. Bally, we know that their streaming service or their RSNs might be collapsing, and MLB, I think, would want nothing more than that to collapse so they can push MLB.com and MLB channel as a standalone service and grow that. So I just find that the whole deal is corrupt, and MLB and Rob Manfred is complicit. They want to get in bed with these people, whether you are a Republican or Democrat. We're not here to debate that. I don't care about that. I only care about the sport. And the A's staying in Oakland and Las Vegas, rightfully getting a team, but through expansion. You don't need to rip away a team that fans want to support.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing more than the talk around here. Even the fans who've been away for a while, they would come back if there was a shovel in the ground.
Yeah.
They would come back. And I think a percentage may not, because of John Fisher. So even if the A's stay, there's still another fight to be had, and that's, we need to get rid of this clown. Like, the fight against John Fisher is not over, because even for me, I can only speak for myself, and I think there's other fans out there that agree that even if the A's end up in Vegas, like, he needs to get out. These types of owners need to get out. And I think this is stirring the pot. There's a lot of energy with A's fans, MLB fans, Californians, Nevadans. There's a lot coming together, and that's been, we talked. I think I don't know if I said this on there, but I know we've talked about it off air as friends. Is I try to find the silver linings, right? Like, that morning when we decided to start going live, we just kind of did it. We've been like a podcast, pre-recorded and whatever, and then we started doing this live thing. And that was the silver lining we talked about, is that, like, we feel like this is the right path, is to do the live and interact with an audience, and that's been great. The second silver lining is the community that I'm seeing come together. It surpasses fandom. It's citizens coming together. It's people coming together. There's been so many people that I've been able to interact with on Twitter that have no interest in sports, but somehow they followed the sell the team, the Fisher out. They heard about the A's coming to their market. A lot of these people I'm talking to, they live in Las Vegas, and they have become A's fans. And they want the A's to stay in Oakland, and they support a baseball team for their neighbors, but through expansion. So I have to say that the second silver lining is just the sense of community of A's fans and extended A's fans and citizens coming together, and I think that's what I'm still voicing about, and what I'm still upset about is, John Fisher and Dave Kaval are ripping generations of fans apart, and they're trying to put states versus states, city versus cities, and that to me is just absolutely fundamentally wrong. And that's shame on you, baseball. Shame on you, MLB.
Absolutely. I mean, like, as Daniel's saying here that he's been screaming for an expansion NBA team and an expansion baseball team, 100%. And I guarantee you,
what's up, Daniel?
I guarantee you that us talking about, an expansion team with other local Vegas people or Nevada people, I bet you if they do get an expansion team and Oakland, the A's do get to stay in Oakland, I'd root for a Vegas team. I mean, knowing that camaraderie is with me man, I got your back 100%. You got a terrible team in Vegas and you need to sell your ownership. I got your back. You
Yeah.
know, you know, and,
What's
and I
up?
but I agree. They need their own expansion team. I think Seattle needs its own expansion team as far as basketball goes.
Yeah, bring back the Sonics, man.
Yeah, bring those back.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I want to say hi real quick to Nelly 47.
Yeah. Also bringing up the Sinclair and Bally Sports being in hot water with the broadcast rights on the regional sports networks as well. Absolutely, man. This is baseball can't quite get they can't get away from them for whatever reason. They can't quite extract themselves from them. It's like every time I'm out, they pull me back in. I don't get it. Oh man.
You know
so
what's crazy
frustrating.
though? Even in this moment, guys, maybe I'm just off my rocker. Maybe I'm just nuts. Maybe I'm just like, I don't know, wishful thinking. I somehow still believe they're gonna stay. Like I don't know
hopium
why.
is strong, man.
I don't know why.
Man, you're dealer. I need it.
I did wake up to some. I'm sure a lot of A's fans saw this. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Larry Ellison, Tom Hanks group.
Yeah, I did. I just saw something about that. Yeah.
You know,
Whew.
I'm still hopeful for Joe Lake of Joey Light Years. Come on,
guys. There's 3 weeks left in this session. They have to get a deal done in 3 weeks. So I'll be honest with you.
10 days.
My hopium.
What's up, Jeremy?
Do you want to know what he's really smoking, or do you want to know what hopium he's smoking?
I'm smoking hopium and sipping whiskey.
Babe.
So my level of hopium just grows week by week because, you know, we were say a month and then they didn't have anything done. Now we're 3 weeks and they've got the same deal that they had with the previous Vegas site, you know, a binding agreement, which, at this point means jack shit.
Yeah,
so,
I don't think binding means what they think it means, man.
Yeah.
It's like the Princess Bride over here.
Well, they just want to be in a binding
word.
agreement. They just want to be in the agreement. Like, what is it? January something. Otherwise, they're getting kicked off of welfare.
Well, no, I mean,
no.
It's got to be more than a binding agreement. Like just a binding agreement alone.
They have to
enough.
get the public funding and the approval by the legislation of the the commissioners, the county commissioners, I should say.
They just
in 3 weeks.
Whatever the minimum, whatever the bar is that MLB set for them to be on revenue sharing welfare. Like they're just trying to now they're just grasping at anybody who will give them the deal.
So
who's going to give them the free stadium?
I saw a wonderful post on Reddit, and I'll have to get his name here, and I'll recognize you before the show ends. But the level of dedication some A's fans have is just stellar, man. I think it's top notch. There was a Reddit fan who literally wrote a handwritten, well, I guess typed, whatever, but from his heart letter to every single MLB owner except for the Giants and obviously the A's, right? And his name was on Reddit. His name was Wi-Fi enabled, right? So if you're watching or curious, we're shouting you out. But I'd love that he wrote a letter to every single owner of MLB to tell them why John Fisher taking your money as an MLB owner is terrible for the A's to go to Vegas, along with other reasons as to why the A's can't go to Vegas that we've already alluded to. And not only did he post that he wrote all these letters, he put the address of every single owner so that you could write to them as well if it's in your local area, or you want to write to all of them. So I appreciate that. If you guys are curious in the chat, let me know. I'll post
go and drop that link in there.
I'll drop it in there. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's great. I love the camaraderie. I love all of this. I hope that I hope the A's do stay in Vegas, and my hopium is starting to run a little higher and higher as the weeks go on, to be honest with you.
It just seems like no matter, do you have any... Dave Cavill has shown no ability to get a deal done.
Yeah, I mean, the man can build a soccer stadium, and that's it, apparently.
Yeah.
Like that's where he tops out at, is a soccer stadium.
Wait, he didn't even... That was Lou Wolf who helped him on that.
Well, yeah,
Wasn't
but
just
he was
him.
the president of the Quakes when he got that done. So I mean,
Lou Wolf's business deals got that done.
oh, I'm
I
sure.
mean,
I'm sure. I'm sure it helped.
Even Lou Wolf was throwing shade at the current ownership and the current, the current climate.
Hello,
There was like,
Pot. This is Kettle.
there was, well, no, there's some stuff came out where, they were asking him something, and, I'm summarizing here, but, Lou Wolf said something to the effect of, if you can't get the deal done, maybe you have to look in the mirror. Maybe it's you, like,
It's
maybe
definitely him.
it's definitely Fisher and Cavill. Like Cavill, I don't want to be the guy that's like, told you so. But from day one, Cavill just seemed like a slippery dude. He just gives off the vibe of he's a slippery guy, and
He came out of the gates a little too hot,
he just seemed slippery, and people were, and I get it, man. Like people were trying to be optimistic and supportive, and they did the whole rooted in Oakland thing. And in retrospect, I don't think it was really sincere. I think it was, trying to string along Oakland to get a ridiculous deal. And the A's thought they had all the leverage, and they have no leverage.
Yeah, apart. I mean, look, I'll say I was the one that was still on the Dave train, right? And there's still like a glimmering glee bit of hope that I feel like Dave just went in too deep and didn't know how to pull out. And he was getting paid great money. And he's still getting paid great money to just be the board that gets beat to shit to
He's the
cover
porta
up.
potty
Yeah, for
of
sure.
the ownership group. He's the one that's catching all the shit.
There's a gleam of hope that when this started and Dave got hired, he genuinely thought and still believed that John Fisher was going to get a new stadium deal done. And he was like, I'm on board. Fans love me. And I think that was true. And then as time went on and brick by brick started disappearing, and you notice that there was just nothing there behind it, I think Dave was just too far into it. Now he could have left. He could have been like, I can't do this. This is ridiculous. So I don't necessarily give him an out on that, but I do think at the beginning he did believe that something was going to happen. And I think at this point he's too far into it to get out of it at this point. I mean, you're in the shit now, buddy. You might as well just roll in it.
I don't know, man. He's a clown. He's a fucking clown.
Oh man. So
like really man. I don't know. If anybody's out there listening, like I'm about to I just want to use so many bad words, and I don't want to make it too personal.
we need one of those soundboards like SpongeBob, so every time you cuss, it's just like a dolphin sound.
Yeah.
Well, let's get you back on track, Sam. So there's still the June 13th. So please tell us what June 13th is again. Let's remind everyone so we don't forget. Go ahead, Sam.
June 13th, a Tuesday day game. We're going to try to sell at the stadium, pack the house. We're calling it, A's fans are calling it a reverse boycott. So we're going to try to bring attention to this thing even more. One of the things that we can do as A's fans is try to get this to larger media markets, share this video, share other people's videos, keep sharing it, keep making those hashtags trend. Like we need to make it louder. If somehow, some way you're able to get this message to somebody that has an even bigger platform, we got to communicate up, and we got to keep the pressure on them, and we got to, we also got to put pressure on what's going on in Nevada. There's going to be people that want the A's, but we got to talk to them. You're not going to win the argument with profanity and screaming and shouting and talking down. I think the best thing we can do as fans is make ourselves available, educate, talk about it, support Nevada. I think there should be a baseball team. I would love to go to a baseball team, and I would love Las Vegas to have a baseball team, but not even the home Las Vegas, expansion team should be at the Tropicana site. That's a terrible site. Like they deserve if there's gonna be MLB baseball, like put a real MLB stadium there, not this cramped, condominium BS. Like put a flagship there.
Like obviously we haven't seen any like drawings or plans or anything yet for this potential 9-acre with a a retractable roof. We haven't seen any plans for that yet. But I mean, just thinking about like what it's gonna look like and what they're gonna do it. I mean, I think about Levi's Stadium and how it basically looks like an erector set painted red to get it's for the Niners. I think it's gonna be even worse than that, man. Like I don't get. I've seen Brody Brazil did a video. He went to like all these different ballparks like on the map, and he just kind of drew out what the acreage was for each one of them, and you see the smallest ones were Fenway was sitting on about 8 acres.
Let me ask you
it's
this.
packed in there, man. But like
all
the roofs ones, all the ones with roofs, they're like 11, 12 acres. Let
me ask you both this. And if anybody else wants to add to it. I think we all agree that the Howard Terminal site makes the most sense to keep the team in Oakland, freeing up the current site to do something else, right? Whatever that may be, right? Howard Terminal seems like the best location.
Right.
Based on the renderings, like I think I want them there, but the stadium design at Howard Terminal didn't get me all that like jazzed. Like, to be honest, I was kind of hoping they would like the design would actually change.
Yeah,
like,
they
you know what I want?
I want to jewel box and back to it was just
look. I don't want to look like Chase Center and look like a toilet bowl. Remember when that rendering came out and looked like an actual toilet?
Yeah.
You know what? If you're a Giants fan, you can come down my road. It's fine. I do want the opportunity for splash hits. I think that would be super fun. We don't have to call it splash hits because obviously we're going to be stealing from across the bay. But I want that opportunity to be able to hit a ball into the water. I don't want a Mount Davis that you hit it off a glass that people are eating nachos in. I want to hit in the water.
I just wasn't a fan of like the Hobbit, like the
grass on the top,
the grass
like
on
the
park, on the triangular.
Yeah. And I just thought, what I thought would be cool is like, they got the cranes, the repurposed cranes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would be cool, like maybe on the other side or at the main entrance is kind of like an old school, like a light tower, like an old school light tower. Because it's the port and, you're going to have that waterfront. And I just think it would be really cool. You can have like the ferry system right there. So you have like the A Stadium is also like a light tower, then I just thought that'd be kind of cool, to have that and a little bit more of like a brick and mortar type of feel, because it's not too far from, it's West Oakland. So, there's old Oakland there and downtown Oakland there. And there's a lot of like brick old buildings that are being revitalized. So I thought a little bit of throwback with like modern, green, energy efficient things. I like the idea of what they're trying to do of like make certain areas of the stadium like a park, like you can walk through it. I think that's really great. I just wasn't a fan of the design. It looked too much like IKEA, dude. It just looked like an IKEA stadium to me.
So I wasn't on obviously with you guys last week, but the Padres Stadium and how that whole grass area was set up, and you could walk straight through, and it was really wide. They had live bands playing where eventually became the TV screen in the background where you could watch the game if you couldn't get to the wood deck area to go see the field and everything. I thought that was great. I think that would be a great idea. Maybe have that same kind of system, but like towards the water, and then the other side leads you to shopping areas, things of downtown area. But I think the focal point is that home plate needs to be in the back corner and the outfield needs to be shooting towards the edges of the pier. So the water needs to be facing, I guess, what would that be? North, I guess. North.
Yeah, north. You can't have the batter
the other way around
into the sun. Like so the batter can't be looking west because of the sun.
Right.
So yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. So I look the stadium that they have now. To me, it looks with the bubbled edges. I'll be honest with you. I didn't tell anyone, but it looks like those little porta potties that you give to kids when you're trying to train them. It looks like that. And I don't want a toilet thing. And it seems like the renderings we're getting are all just like a toilet thing.
Like that kid in San Diego at the back of the truck.
Man, that kid, that dad has some confidence to make that kid do that on a busy street too. So,
Stewart's
well, anyways,
begging
guys,
to make a guest appearance, so I got Dave Stewart on.
Hey, bud.
He's begging
but yeah, we got to move on to the NBA. But if anybody has any comments about their ideas of John Fisher or baseball, whatever you want to have in, throw it in there. We'll definitely bring it up throughout the show. No
also,
problem going back and forth here.
Like if you do voodoo or something, make sure to stick some needles into a John Fisher doll for me, please.
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah. This is just as much as your podcast as it is ours. So
that's
feel free to drop whatever comments you want to have in there. We'll get to them as best as we can. But without further ado, let's rip this old band-aid off.
This sucked. This sucked.
Yeah,
it sucked more because it happened to the it was against the Lakers, man.
Daniel's gonna be like, "What sucked, guys?"
Daniel's loving life. We're not so much.
Yeah, Daniel's like, "What
is the Lakers too?" Oh, the Warriors lost. The Lakers won 4-2. And in Game 6, the Warriors just Steph showed up. Dante DiVincenzo showed up. Oddly enough, Kevon Looney showed up for what he could. Still recovering from the illness, and that's it. Everybody else kind of stayed on the bus. Man, this was a tough one, especially to go out like that. There it is, the Lake Show. Yeah, okay. Congratulations, well deserved. They honestly they gave it. They put it to us. The Lakers absolutely earned that place in the Western Conference Finals. And I fully expect the Nuggets to win in 5 games. That's right. Gentleman sweep. Calling it right now. Put it in the universe.
That's what you're putting in. You're doing that?
That's what I'm putting in the universe. A gentleman sweep by the Nuggets over the Lakers. One interesting thing that I saw was actually in the Eastern Conference. It's all the same teams from the 2020 Mickey Mouse Western and Eastern Finals. So
in the bubble?
In the bubble, it's the same 4 teams that were in the finals in that year. It's happening this year, 3 years later, which proves that there is no God. So yeah.
So New York beat Miami, which, by the way, I'm sorry, Miami beat New York. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Which, by the way, I was pleasantly surprised because Miami came in as a play-in tourney, and it's just like baseball. Sometimes the wild card teams come in hot. They're more ready.
Spoelstra is so good as a head coach. He is so good.
Yeah, no, it's crazy good. I mean, the Boston series last night with Tatum dropping a 50 burger to wave goodbye to Philly fans. I mean, that was great. A shout out to Tatum on that. His mom was in the building too to watch him on Mother's Day, so even greater. I mean, that's a great win.
Steph got to hold that record for a whole 2 fucking weeks, man.
Crazy, man. And he did it on Mother's Day Tatum, too, though. Like the day to do it on, man. What a pinnacle day to do that on. That's a Dallas Braden perfect game right there.
He ate. He absolutely ate, man. That was an incredible performance. And Phoenix headphones are keeping it from tipping the cap. But there it is.
Apparently, I found out yesterday that Kevin Durant's already in some tropical island, so he probably had that booked prior to Game 6. So they laid down a gigantic goose egg. I know that.
Hey guys! Breaking news.
Yeah.
Drew Thomas is in the chat, and he says Philly sucks.
They sure do. They sure do, man. They sucked real bad, especially in that Game 7, man. That was embarrassing.
Well, Drew, your boy Kevin Durant decided to not show up. So I know you're a big Kevin Durant fan. He's really not a Kevin Durant fan, but we'll just see. Poke the bear, Oh, Drew likes poking bears, by the way. That's his big thing too. So
KD got Monty fired.
What a crazy turn of events! Like,
oh yeah. Like all these coaches that were like in the finals in the last like 3 years, all of them have been shown the fucking door. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's so wild.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Nuggets. I'm not the Nuggets head coach. The Dallas head coach, who D'Antoni. I'm sorry, Rockets head coach. Sorry, D'Antoni got fired. And then you look at the Jazz head coach, who ended up becoming Cleveland's head coach. I think it was one of the two.
I
Can't
don't
remember.
remember.
He got fired, and they both all went on to have like almost one seeds, and they all got fired, every single one of them. So it's crazy.
Daniel says Doc is what 6-18 in elimination games, and he's like game sevens. He's lost the last handful of them. Man, this is I don't know. Doc can't get it done. I guess as a coach, I think it's he might be seeing his days numbered in Philly, but he'll get retreaded somewhere else because that's what happens with all these head coaches in every sport. Really, there's about 40 guys, vying for 30 or 32 jobs.
I think that the telling part about Doc Rivers is that he seems to lose control of his locker room in the second season. It seems to happen pretty often. And this whole James Harden thing that's breaking down, that he just, him and his relationship, as James Harden put it, me in relationship with Doc Rivers is okay, And now the report breaks out by Shelley that he doesn't want to play for Doc anymore. So how much is that is on the star players? How much is it on James Harden? How much is it on Doc Rivers? But I do feel like when Doc goes to places, he seems to wear out his welcome pretty quick. I don't know if that's a testament of him or a testament of just how he coaches teams. I don't know. But yeah, I agree, guys. Daniel, Drew, Doc is next. I think he's going to get fired.
And probably Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr's not going to get fired.
No, Steve Kerr's not.
That man's got at least that man's got at least like
that's what some
2 years.
people are saying.
Some idiots really want Steve Kerr's head on a pike, man. I don't get it. This is the first time he's lost in the Western Conference playoffs. This is the first
I would say
time.
If Steve Kerr can't get out of the first round in the next like 2 years, okay, maybe we consider like maybe it's time for a coaching change. But that's unlikely to happen with the way he coaches and the players that he still has available to him. I know the question mark is Draymond coming back? And I believe, yes, he's going to come back. Is Klay Thompson coming back? If the reports are true that he's going to take a pay cut, yes, he's coming back. The question mark is, does Kuminga get to play? Because he's really advocating that he wants a bigger role. And he was really pissed off that he didn't get one chance with the Lakers. And I agree with him. With the Lakers, you needed one guy who could be, a physical player who could, possibly get to the free throw line. When I look at names, I think Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga. And guess who wasn't performing, and guess who didn't even get a chance to perform? So I think Kerr did a poor job this year of managing the kids. I think he got into we need to catch up mode because we're so far behind the seedings. So he was relying on the veterans a lot this year and didn't get a chance to really grow and nurture the young kids. And I hope that next year is kind of a calling sign. I mean, those kids, Moody stepped up, but Moody's a different beast compared to the other kids,
Yeah.
I think PBJ, if his foot can stay healthy, that kid's going to be a problem. That kid's going to be scary. He didn't know the offense, but man, you're not blocking that shot. If he decides to drive, you're not stopping him. So
real quick, I want to do some tidying up with the comments. The Steve Kerr, when I said he should be fired, I was being sarcastic. I am not advocating for Steve Kerr to be fired. We are absolutely 1 year removed from a championship. But if you were on Warriors Twitter or listening to local media today, there are people who are fire Steve Kerr. He sucks. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. I was being sarcastic. In no way am I advocating to fire Steve Kerr, because I really don't. I don't know how the offseason is going to break down, but I don't think this team is done.
No, not at all.
I don't think it's done. So no, just to tidy that up, circle back to your comments. It's interesting. I've been listening and trying to keep up with some articles about the Kuminga and his role. I think some of it is the behind the scenes stuff is, Moody got benched. Moody fell out of favor. And I think Moody kind of went to work, got better in practice, and earned his minutes back. And the body language energy from Jordan Poole and Kaminga, the all shucks. I think I said this last week or the week before, of like just being like complaining, oh gee, I didn't know what to do, and then sulking is, I don't think any teammate wants to see that. You don't want to see a teammate in your, you go work at UPS and the guy who's like, like nobody wants to work next to the guy who makes excuses about everything or complains about everything. It wears off. And I don't think Kaminga and Poole did stuff in the train, not the training room, but like in practice, like they didn't change and they didn't evolve. And to their defense, they're what, 20 and 23?
Yeah.
In their defense, I hate to play the young card, but I mean, I was doing a hell of a lot dumber crap at that age,
Yeah, Drew actually brought up a good question about Poole. Is he going to get traded, and should he? And that's the big conversation now. Like, articles on The Athletic are like, here's 3 possible landing spots for Jordan Poole, and it's like, I get why
Poole's not going to get traded.
Yeah.
And
I don't think there's any
nor do I
buyers.
think he should be. But I think there comes this notion, what are the reports true that he wasn't listening to Steve Kerr and he wasn't paying attention, and that's why Draymond punched him? I don't care at this point. I think Poole throughout the season did a good enough job of just going to business, going to work, and putting his head down and focusing on what the task at hand. I think the playoffs really showed a different side that we hadn't seen all season as Warriors fans. So that's a little telling and a little frightening. Are we going to get that same Jordan Poole to start the season next year? I don't know. I tell you right now, no one's going to take that contract. It kicks in next year. So the likelihood of moving him is super unlikely. It's the
the money has to be the same or close to it. So if you do
Yeah.
move him, you're not going to save any money on the deal.
You can't do a sign and trade. There's no options of that. So, would it be good to move Poole as far as trying to get new talent and acquisition in? Sure, absolutely. Because the Warriors right now can't bring in anyone unless it's for a veteran minimum. They can't sign a 2-year deal. It has to be a veteran minimum for anyone. And the likelihood of somebody wanting to sign a veteran minimum, those Brooke Lopez's that you're thinking of, those DeAndre Aytons, it's not going to happen. So by a money standpoint, yeah, I think it's a good idea to move Poole, but it's not going to happen. So we got to do with what we got, right? Or deal with what we got. So I think Jordan Poole and Draymond, that, and Sam said in the beginning, that relationship is gone. It's never going to come back, and I think if we can figure out a way to make this into a working relationship on the court and they can win together, that's the best case scenario. But it stems from Jordan Poole turning his attitude around and saying, it's not just me, it's the team, and I'm here to cover up for the team. And I don't think he showed that in the playoffs. He may have said words that alluded to that, but his body language told me completely differently in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know what you do with Poole. I don't know if you can. I think if one has to go, it's going to be was it Clay is up for a contract, and I think Draymond has a player option.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this before, is how this is all like, how this team is going to be deconstructed, because at some point it's going to happen. At this point, I think anybody's guess is a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you hope Poole and Draymond could somehow truly get past it. It seems like Jordan hasn't really gotten past it, but I don't know. I can't put thoughts in his head. Maybe an off season, some space will kind of cure some of that. And, Jordan Poole and Draymond doing their own thing and reflecting and growing as human beings and coming back next year and, moving past it. Maybe that's a solution. I think that's kind of wishful thinking, but financially they don't have a lot of options. It's being talked about that Clay might, take a pay cut. I don't know, man. It's just going to be really interesting because from what I understand, I don't know basketball contracts like NFL contracts where in basketball it's guaranteed, right? You can't just like tear up a deal and restructure it, even if the player wants to take a pay cut, right? The league doesn't
Correct. Unless there's an option. That's the only way, right?
like a buyout,
Right.
and then you can.
Yeah. So that's kind of the only way. And I guess the only other weird scenario is if you're an RFA, restricted free agent. You let them walk.
And even if you
You have to
trade
match it.
Poole, I don't like. You're probably you have to take back a contract that is just
as massive. Yeah.
you know.
So maybe it's like the DeAndre Ayton contract or something with Phoenix or something like that. I don't know, man.
It would be more like the Wiggins contract is what it would really boil down to, right? So we were able to move Kevin Durant's contract and a sign and trade, but that's how we basically took that money on, and we took more money on by taking on the Wiggins contract. So the problem is it was a backloaded contract, so we didn't get hit as hard on the luxury tax. We're going to get hit harder and harder as the years go on. So but yeah, so Jordan Poole's contract doesn't kick in until next year, but he's going to have an AAV or an annual, salary here of 32 million a year. I don't know who's going to take on a $32 million contract. It's like the Eric Carlson, he should be moved, to help the team out ultimately, but who's going to take that contract,
Yeah.
Right. And if he would have played better this postseason, one, the Warriors might still be playing, but also his trade value would go up even if they did lose.
Exactly.
So he didn't help anybody. Like he played bad enough that it's not going to be worth it for the Warriors to trade him, at least not during this offseason. Maybe, if he comes out gangbusters in the start of next year, maybe that trade value starts to rise again, and maybe you can find a buyer with, I don't know, somebody who's like a Detroit or Orlando or something like that.
Yeah, let's
So
just
what do you
give
do?
Detroit all of our players.
So what
let's
do you-
give
what
them
do you-
Wiseman, Poole.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Yeah, you're not trading Curry.
Yeah.
Do you trade Draymond?
You can't trade Draymond. I mean, you can. But
Draymond,
Like
yeah.
he would have to either do a sign and trade or opt in and then get traded.
Right. So if
Right.
he opts into his contract, it's a no trade clause unless he approves it. Right.
Right.
The other option is that he would opt out, and then you do a sign and trade to
Right.
whatever team he wants to go on, aka whatever team LeBron is on. Right. So,
Would you
Yeah.
do that?
yes, I
You
would do
would.
that. If he wants to do a sign and trade, I would do that. Yeah, for sure. But it's what are you going to get back, right? So say it's the
Exactly.
Lakers. I don't know what you're going to get back.
Mm-hmm.
D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah. I'd have to look at what the contracts are. I think the only viable contracts right now would be the kid that came from Minnesota to Utah to the Lakers, who was guarding Steph to begin the season. I think he's the only one who has a viable contract that would work. They're not going to trade their rookie. He's probably going to get a fat paycheck, Reeves, at the end of this season.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
What's his name? The third. What was his name?
Lonnie Walker.
Lonnie Walker the third. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Lonnie
he went
Walker
God
could be a
mode
good.
in
He
game
could be a
4,
good six
man.
man. He could be a really good six man. I think he could be, your Jordan Clarksons of the world, or your what's the other one? Mo
You trading
Williams.
Wiggins?
I think as the contracts go on, I think the next like year or two, yeah, probably. I'm thinking about trying to see if I can offload that with like 2 years left or 1 year left.
No, I'm talking right now, this offseason.
No, I'm not trading Wiggins. No.
You're keeping Wiggins. What about Clay?
If he takes
Clay-
a pay cut, yeah. But understand that I'm not giving him a max contract.
Yeah.
I can't afford to do it. You take the hometown discount, or you go see another hometown.
Yeah, and it in the end, it is a business, and I think everybody understands that, and nobody's going to question
Yeah.
what Clay did for us in the past. And
Drew
I
made a
mean,
great point. Drew made a great
yeah.
point. The new CBA makes it super difficult for teams to go over luxury tax to do sign-in trades now. He's right. Yeah. So that new CBA was basically targeted at the Warriors. So they
Yeah.
didn't want
So
super
how do
teams or
you
teams to retain homegrown players because you can sign them to supermax deal. So Sam, the other deal too is that you can sign your player to a supermax deal, meaning a 5-year contract deal, right? Which is what happened to Wiggins. If he's your player you drafted, right? So let's say
Or he's
I don't
under
know,
your possession for the last couple of years. It's not just drafted, but it's
right?
like, yeah, if
But
you
you're
have
the
him
only
already.
one who can offer an extra year.
Yeah.
Nobody else can offer an extra year. So if it's a 5-year deal, nobody else can offer more than 4 years, right? The
right?
supermax deal.
Yeah.
So it is interesting because they make the penalties so significant that it's almost impossible to retain players. So yeah, I think the reality of moving Wiggins next year is a more realistic possibility than it ever has been because of this new CBA agreement that went through. So
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of tough decisions to be made, and we don't even know if Bob Myers is going to be making them. So
I
Yeah.
don't think he's coming back. I don't.
I think he might be burned out and he might be done.
Yeah,
We'll. I think we just got to kind of keep an eye on it as the playoffs go on, and we'll see where the cards lay, man.
Well, speaking of playoffs, we got Stanley Cup playoffs. How was my Seagram's Krakens doing?
Well, right now, the Seattle Kraken and the Dallas Stars are literally playing Game 7 of the second round right now. Let me take a look at the score. It's 0-0.
What a live update.
6.5 minutes to go at this exact moment in the second period, excuse me. Oh. Yeah, so this is like we got some crazy Game 7 action happening. No goals, but a lot of back and forth because it's hockey, and that's the kind of stuff that happens in hockey is a lot of action, even if there isn't a lot of scoring. So definitely tune in if you can, like if you're able to, if you got the time, watch some hockey. It's a lot of fun.
Can we talk about how dirty the Vegas Knights are? Did you see that play?
I did not actually know because I was I've been actually kind of sad and trying to not.
I have to look it up again. I can't remember his name, but it's Game 6, obviously, because Edmonton lost in 6 games.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
It was the defender for the Vegas Knights does one of those axe chopping moves onto Edmonton's hands. He didn't even have the puck.
It was a slash. Yeah.
Not just a slash, bro. It was like,
it was a hack.
I mean, it is a slash, but he was axing out. He was trying to break a hand, break a wrist. Let's just talk about how dirty they are, okay?
Yeah.
Drop Pavelski, gave him a concussion. I'm over Vegas Knights.
Yeah. I think Sharks fans have been over the Vegas Golden Knights since that first
inaugural season.
The inaugural season, like during the regular season, kind of nothing to them. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. It's a good story. More eyes, and then the playoffs happened, and the fans turned into jackasses, and then like just some bad shit happened, and then
Sam, going to a Vegas Knights game is like going to medieval times. It's so annoying. Like literally a knight comes out and they like chant some fucking thing about some knights, and then all the players come out. Oh, it's so frustrating. So frustrating. I hate them. I hate them so much. If you're a Vegas Knight fan, come on in this room. I want to tell you how much I hate you.
Really just looking to start some fights right now. We're just kind of in a fighting mood.
Man,
so let's just recap the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm going to give you your Stanley Cup date. You know, that's right. We're bringing it back. The cup date.
Nice.
All right. So Vegas Golden Knights beat Edmonton 4-2. Florida beat Toronto 4-1. Carolina over New Jersey 4-1. So your Eastern Conference matchup will be Carolina versus Florida, and Carolina will have home ice advantage. And then Vegas Golden Knights are going to be waiting the winner of this game between Dallas and Seattle. And it looks like it's still 0-0 right now at the moment. So getting closer to the end of the second period.
Is Bernsey still in Carolina?
He is. He had a nice little in the at the end of each series they do a handshake, which is
him and
really,
Timo.
Yeah, him and Timo had a nice little moment
Nice.
during the handshake line at the end of that series. And just for those of you who aren't aware, one of the biggest running jokes is how Toronto can't ever get anything done ever. Actually, Will Wheaton, former Star Trek alum, Will Wheaton, he was like, let's see, what was it? He was playing. Florida was up 3-0, 3-0. And so he sends out like before game 4, happy Leafs elimination day to those who celebrate. Toronto ended up winning that game. And then so he just did it again like 2 days later for game 5, and this time it did happen. So yeah, so this is just a running thing that Toronto can't get anything done. Also, Canada is officially shut out of the Stanley Cup again. The last time a Canadian team has won was 1993, when oddly enough it was the Montreal Canadiens, who the last Canadian team to win the cup. There's been a couple of teams that have made the final but not gotten the job done. I think about Vancouver in 2010; they couldn't quite get the job done. And so once again, Canada's sport is getting locked out. They're getting locked out again, man. This is tough road for Canada, but that expansion team in Seattle is making a lot of noise right now.
Absolutely. So we'll go on. If there's any updates on this Kraken game, please let me know.
I'll keep an eye on it.
I do want to touch base onto some football. Let's get into the soccer. Wrexham is on their USA tour starting next month.
Yep.
If you get the chance, they'll be in San Diego playing against Chelsea. I don't know where the Man U game is. I can't remember. I think it's down in LA as well too. So, but yeah, they get to play against Chelsea and Man U, some Premier League teams, and kind of get to see some measure it and see what the future may be for them down the road. So happy for that. And Vince, you got us here with some earthquakes here. What are we looking at here?
That is correct. On Mother's Day, the Earthquakes go down to play the LA Galaxy, and they shit the bed. They lose 2-1, and the Galaxy are down at the bottom of the standings, but they've honestly played better than they just have had problems putting the goal in the back of the net, and they finally bust loose in the second half and get 2 goals. The Quakes add 1 goal in stoppage time in the second half, but it's not enough. Obviously, they take the L, but they are still in 5th place in the Western Conference, and we're more than a third of the way through the season. So at this point, it's no longer a small sample size. This Quakes team is looking like a playoff caliber team, even with dropping this game against the Galaxy that they probably should have won. But they just, I actually watched this game start to finish, and they just for whatever reason, they couldn't they couldn't establish possession in this game against the Galaxy. And we'll see how they correct it going forward. Their next game is at LAFC on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. The only way to watch these games are on Apple TV Plus with the subscription. So that's how I did it. Is I had I have T-Mobile, and T-Mobile gave us a free login for the year. So
good luck playing LAFC. They're like second in the standings.
Yeah, I mean
right
they
now.
just
That's
beat LAFC last week. So
that's true.
We'll see how they react now that we're going down into their house.
But before we jump into the pigskin football, I do want to point out real quick, Notts County won one hell of a playoff tournament game to move on to the EFL2. So shout out, golf clap for Notts County. Congratulations. Happy to have you guys into the next round with us as well. Love the competition, man. If they push Wrexham even higher up because of the competition, I'm all for it. So, all right. I don't know if everyone has access to their own schedules for their own football team.
I do. Yeah.
But NFL has released their schedules. We'll try to be quick about this. We'll delve a little bit more into it next week as well. But any games that you're circling there, Vince? Because I'm circling a couple.
Well, I mean, I think we're circling the same game in week 13. The 49ers are going to Philadelphia. Right now it's set as a 1:30 Pacific start kickoff on December 3rd. We'll see if that game gets flexed into Monday night or flexed into Sunday night or whatever. That's certainly a game that the NFL has circled as something that they may want to bring extra eyes to focus on,
I think it's interesting that they're making you guys come back to Philadelphia.
Yeah, no, it's just kind of the way that it breaks down. Like there's an algorithm for like which teams go where each year, and it's all based on where you finish in the standings. Because both the Eagles and the Niners finished first place, they were going to be playing each other no matter what.
But given where you guys had to come to us for the playoffs, I think it's interesting that they make you come back.
Yeah. Right. I mean, we were playing the NFC East anyway, so that's just kind of how it fell in the circle, in the cycle. Excuse me. But yeah, this is like I look at the Niners schedule, and obviously I'm a little bit biased, and like I jokingly said, Niners are going 15-2. I got the games between the Bengals and the Eagles. I have the Niners going 1-1 in those games. I don't care which. I don't really know which one is going to be the win, which is going to be the loss. And I have one other random loss that they shouldn't lose. But it like after sitting and thinking about it, I know that there's going to be more than one game that the Niners drop at some point, but I still think that they're going to be like a 13-win team, and easily coast to first place in the NFC West and be right back in the mix for a potential Super Bowl run. That's what I expect at this point from the Niners. They've given me no reason not to think that. It sounds like Brock Purdy is going to be close to healthy, if not totally healthy, by the start of the season. So we'll see what's going on there. Same with Trey Lance. He'll be ready to back up, apparently, it sounds like, but he'll have a shot at some point. I'm certain of it.
Yeah, I've got a couple games that I'm
Drew Thomas is circling November 5th.
He's a Cowgirls fan.
Yeah, he's a Cowboys fan. So I figure that's probably for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll also see you December 10th too, Drew. So mark that down on your calendar too. So those are 2 L's that you're gonna take.
Niners are playing the Cowboys on October 8th. That'll be a win for the Niners as well. So that'll be nice. That's actually a Sunday night football game, so everybody gets to see the Cowboys get that ass whooped. So it's gonna be real nice.
I've got a couple games that I have circled that I think will be interesting to watch. The Rams game, it's always a good one to watch just because it's LA and they spent a lot of money, so you're curious to see how that's going to work out. The following week on the 15th, we're playing the Jets, so we get to look at the new look Rodgers team. So I'm curious about that. Always Cowboys games are fun, man. They bring out the best out of both teams. They're hard fought games, so those are always nail biters down the end. So I'll give you that, Drew. But I do expect you to get 2 L's on that, Drew, and not 2 W's. So we'll go with there. November 20th, we go to Kansas City. That's gonna suck. And then December 3rd, as much as I say that I like my chances because I'm at home with the 49ers, I'm still circling it as a possible game that's could go either way. So I'm looking at it as a possibility of 3 losses, 4 losses. That's not out of the picture.
That's kind of I think we're both expecting our teams to be around the same record, 13 wins, 14 wins on the year, something like that.
Yeah. So what about you, Sam? How you looking at your schedule? How you liking Jimmy G at the helm? How you feeling about this?
Well, I mean, come on. We got to see him in action.
He's a winner. He's a winner.
He's a gamer. The biggest quality, he's a gamer. No, I think like I said this a couple of weeks in a row is hopefully they hit on some draft picks and they find some foundational pieces that fit their scheme. I'm kind of over this whole concept of Patriot West or whatever the hell it is. There's only one Coach Belichick, and to try to repeat that process or repeat that lightning in a bottle, that's ultra rare. You got to be your own team, and I hope I hope they develop into a winner. As far as the schedule, there's no like I mean, it's kind of, there's the Giants, that's cool, the Colts again, the Vikings, but there's no like Raiders 49ers or Raiders Eagles or even Drew Cowboys. Like for me, I just look for a solid year. You got to get to 10 wins. Like
10 wins is crucial.
And I feel like I feel like that's soft.
Hold on that. What's the breaking news?
I got some breaking news. We are in the second intermission. Dallas scored on the power play at the end of the second period. They are up 1-0. heading into the third on Seattle Kraken.
Come
Seagram's
on,
Kraken.
Seagram Kraken.
So,
Wow.
All right.
so
Sorry.
here we go. It's getting
Yeah,
down to the nitty gritty.
I think
Marcus
it's-
Peters visited the Raiders today. He's an Oakland guy. 30 years old, had a bounce back year. Not a great year, but he was coming off of a torn ACL. So I think he could potentially be a good signing. Add to the depth of the defensive backfield. I'm just looking for a positive season and be competitive. We hear so much about, oh, Josh McDaniels is such a complex offense. Then what I expect is this offense to be executed well with Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm working on the assumption that, Josh Jacobs is coming back. I expect there to be a running game. You drafted a tight end of the future who's supposed to fit perfectly. So I expect that tight end to perform. You still have Chandler Jones and Crosby and your first round draft pick. I expect better pressure at the, getting after the quarterback. So I'm expecting a better team, and 10 wins I feel like is being kind of soft. Like, 10 wins is kind of
10 wins
kind
is
of
what
a
you're
low
demanding. 10 wins is what you're demanding.
Yeah.
And 10 wins is
look-
probably playoffs. It's not 100% guaranteed, but that's like right on the bubble. 10
Right.
wins should get you in the playoffs.
Well, let's look at your schedule. Broncos, you got to get that W. I think that new look Broncos team, I think your team is more poised. It's been together longer. I think you got a better chance there. You go to Buffalo after that. Granted, it's September and not December, but that's still pretty rough. I have to admit. We'll chalk that as maybe as an L, right? Then you play the Steelers, and they come back to you guys. You got to win that one. I think you got a good chance to get that. So you're already 2-1, right? And then you look at the Chargers. You're going to San Diego. Look at that.
LA, dude. LA. Come on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Apologize. LA Chargers. I pulled a
that
Vince
still
here.
hurts, dude. That still
You're a
hurts.
fucking A's
I
fan and you
know.
do that to the
I
the
know.
great citizens of
Ugh.
San Diego, your adopted Padre team?
Oh,
That's
God.
so disrespectful, man.
Freaking
What
monster.
the
You know what?
shit?
Let's count the
You're a
Chargers.
monster.
Let's count the Chargers against them an L, right? You're gonna take an L in LA. Then you go to Packers. That's a W.
That's a home game. So
That's a W. If that's not circles a W, it better be. I think October 15th is gonna be an interesting game. How much of this Patriots West bullshit is really gonna show face? Will Bill Belichick be able to dissect everything because it's basically his shit? I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna count it as a W because you're in Las Vegas. Chicago, I don't know what Chicago was really doing in their draft, to be honest with you. I don't think it was that great of a draft. Definitely not as bad as the Lions draft, but I think that's a W. I think against the Lions, it's a W. So yeah, 10 wins. If you don't get 12 wins, I think that season might be kind of an L for you.
the Lions isn't going to be an easy game. The Giants isn't going
I
to
don't
be an
either.
easy game. The Jets isn't. I mean, and the Dolphins, if Tua's still healthy and they're executing like they did last year, that's a tough game. Then you got the Chiefs. And then the Vikings, they're kind of running it back. Then you got the Chargers. Then you got the Chiefs. And then you got the Colts who, handed it to you last year. And then you got the Broncos. So I feel like 10 wins is doable. But you can't go on these. You can't lose the games like you did last year, man. The blown double digit games is you can't do that.
It's killer. It's killer, man.
But I expect I expect them to look like a complete team, even if it's a grinded out team. Like, execute what you're supposed to do well.
I think if the Raiders want to get into the playoffs, your number is 12. You have to win 12 games. In this conference, you have to win 12 games. I think that's the only way you're probably going to see your way into this.
Maybe.
Chargers have players who are coming off of injuries, so that's always going to be a question mark going to the new season. The Chiefs will chief, Man, Broncos, that's a question mark. So I think in reality, I mean, the Broncos could be good. Who knows? They got new head coach. Sean Payton's there. So who knows? But I think in this division, you guys are going to beat up on each other pretty hard. I think the team that can make 12 wins or more is going to make it into the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know if it needs to be that much, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be. Football games are tough to win. I mean, you got to get 53 people all pulling on the rope in the same direction, and that's why teams like the Niners and the Eagles, they were in the NFC championship for a reason last year, and if you don't do the little stuff correctly, you're on your way out. You're on the outside looking in. That's what happens. What was it, 7-10 last year for the Raiders?
Well, I mean, look at the wild cards. I mean,
Yeah.
9 wins, 10 wins, 10 wins.
Yeah, it's going to take double-digit wins. I think. I think 10 is a fair number.
I think 12 gets you in the playoffs.
12 is a guaranteed playoff spot, as far as I'm
sure.
concerned. 10, because 12-5, there's nobody not making the playoffs at 12-5. Everybody gets in. 11-6, it's almost certainly, unless some really, really weird, fucked up shit happens. But 10 wins, I think that's a bubble team. You're definitely in the mix for playoffs, but yeah, I would say 11 is your safety.
I'm shooting for 12. I'm shooting for 12.
Obviously, I'm shooting for 17. Fucking
I don't want to shoot for 17. I've had that
Bring it
pressure.
on.
I don't want that. I hated that pressure. When the Eagles had that last year, I hated that. I hated that every week everyone expects you to win. And it's like, man, and when your team didn't win and we finally lost to the fucking Redskins, oh my God.
Commanders.
You're all over the fucking place.
I know, man. I'm stuck in the
Get this guy some
mid-2000s.
Your tum-tum is rumbling, huh? It's just
man.
Distracting.
Fucking Snickers, dude.
No, it should be fun. I think me and Vince, we're expecting, 11, 12, 13 wins. I think that's
great. Yeah, we're expecting great things from our teams, and if they disappoint us, it's going to be fun to watch. Fun to watch our meltdowns. That'll be good.
Oh my God.
It'll be fun to watch us cheering if you're in agreement with us too. So either way, definitely hit the bell.
On board.
Yeah.
Smash
the subscribe button. Yeah.
Well, you beat me to the punch here, but let's just do the send off, boys.
Yeah.
Unless you got something else.
It's about that time.
All right. You're listening to the SVT podcast. Subscribe on YouTube and hit the bell to get alerts when we post a new episode. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at SVT Sports Pod. Slide into our DMs. We would love to interact with you. And buy me a drink if you see me. I'll buy you one too. Just tell me that you like to listen to SVT. Let's buy each other drinks.
We'll hold pinkies.
Bring it together. We were at a bar last week and I was talking about our podcast. And this guy was like, I'll buy you a drink. And I was like, cool, I'll buy you a drink. I don't know. Worked out that way. I got new followers.
There you go. Welcome aboard, gentlemen. And good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Later.